Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming to Texas Sports TV, and I'm your host, Trey Martin. And you're out of that a little bit. I just got my first tripod. I got my first tripod. I got a nice little Bluetooth device to press play and pause, so I don't have to get up and sit down every so often, or make sure my watch over there is supercharged. I also got my own little circle light to help with the lighting, so hopefully this ends up looking a lot better than my other videos. Hopefully this is going to start the increase in quality in my videos. And well, all of this out the way, wanting to announce hopefully an increase in quality. I don't know if y'all heard of a truck drove by. I want to talk about something. Y'all probably read in the title of the video. I'm not down with the title just yet, but I think I'm going to title this something like the stupid history of the racism accusation against the Texans. And honestly, that's pretty quite fitting because it is a stupid history. Now, what are the racism accusations? Well, it's kind of bullcrap. We need to go back to, well, the fact that this is the third head coach in 3 years with the Texans, which many teams did that quite a lot. This isn't the first time this happened. This isn't unprecedented. What makes this different and why is this racist when other times it's happened it's not racist? The fact that the previous two head coaches apparently were black. That's it. That is what people are going around calling racist. Why it's racist. So, why is it not racist? Well, because nobody here that doesn't think it's racist, y'all are the smart ones. Anyone that's calling this racist is just plain old stupid. No, so why is it not racist? Well, the first coach they hired was never going to be the long-term solution. I thought they may have fired him a bit too early because honestly, Davis Mills was. I'd see why they fired him because they wanted to see what they had in Davis Mills and they were hoping to get their head coach like now, and not just like tank really too much longer. They were trying to like skip some of the tanking steps and go straight to, oh, okay, this is our head coach now, because Davis Mills was looking good. Davis Mills, a quarterback that I wasn't that hot on when it came to drafting. In fact, I wanted to draft any position that wasn't quarterback and get a quarterback like this year or last year, with a first round pick, get one of the first round quarterbacks and not Davis Mills. But Davis Mills last year was promising. I mean, not not last season, 2 seasons ago. He was promising. He was. He showed a lot of promise under David Coley. So I see why they fired David Coley. Because he was never going to be the long-term solution. He was a placeholder. And they thought they can get the guy they wanted now. But then specific events happened. This one guy was suing the NFL and the Texans for racism. What was the racism? Well, they're saying that the Texans were interviewing him specifically because he was black, and they were basically tugging him along. They're doing it only because he was black, because they needed a black guy to interview, and they weren't really interested in hiring him, which could very possibly have been true. But again, that's not really the Texans' fault. And honestly, I think they were seriously considering him for the head coaching position. He was literally the last three candidates, and after he like basically knocked himself out of the position, they're like, well, you know what? These other guys are white, and we don't want to go down with this racism accusation. The other guys aren't really that popular among the fan bases. The fan bases were unreasonably angry with the Texans at this point. They went and hired Lovie Smith, which again, he was a pretty decent hire, except for the fact Davis Mills regressed under him. Now, about his accusations, was there any legitimacy to them? I wouldn't say there's enough against the Texans. Like I said, the Texans, the dude was down to the final decision. But the overall accusation of being interviewed, yeah, that's because of this new process. It's similar to affirmative action about how it's pretty bad racism. And it's not just racism that hurts white people because you're forcing a black person in there. It's racism that can hurt black people as well. The NFL has a rule we all talked about it. You have to interview a black guy, even if you're not going to consider them. It's in the rule book. If you're interviewing for a head coaching position, you gotta interview a black guy as well. No ifs, ands, or buts. So, yeah, he probably felt like he was just being a circus monkey, pulled team to team, not being seriously considered. And it's quite possible that some teams would sit there and the only people they're considering are white people, not because they're racist, but just because those are the only people they really want to consider at the moment. But they got to interview a black guy, so let's look for some black guy who's looking for a job. Hey, you want to come interview? Yeah, I can see why he would have a problem with it. I have a problem with that. I'm not even black. I can see why black people have a problem with it. You should be able to see why white people have a problem with it. It's a racist policy that doesn't help anyone. So that racism right there against the league, yeah, makes sense. I can see it. But against the Texans, not so much. Yeah, he was. I think he was actually being considered. I could be wrong because I'm not the one behind the scenes, but I think he was actually being considered. And so yeah, they went to Lovie Smith as the this is becoming a dumpster fire, and we got to get someone. And Lovie Smith was there, so they got Lovie Smith. And Lovie Smith was a disaster. This team extremely regressed. Under David Coley, the team didn't really regress. We were still a 4-win team. We went from a 4-win team to a 4-win team. Not really that much of a regress. Our quarterback showed a lot of promise and hope, and the team showed promise. This year, it was just awful. It really was just awful under Lovie Smith. There were moments where the defense showed some promise, where some defensive players showed some promise, but overall, it was just an awful season. The offense as a whole regressed. There were a lot of winnable games that we lost because of coaching. There was a lot of winnable games where we lost because the offense couldn't get it done. The same offense that showed a whole lot of promise last year, just like it just fell off a cliff. Yeah, Lovie Smith was not their solution. It's not the guy he wanted. And the fact that the Texans regressed and did this horrible, yeah, he was fired because he did a bad job. Donna Brown. So Lovie Smith was hired because he was black, which is a little bit racist, but yeah, he was hired because he was black and he needed a little placeholder to calm the fires for a little bit. And then this year, again, they went to try to find a guy that they wanted. And then there's Donna Brown. And hopefully, Donna Brown does a good job. I like the hire. He seems to be a really good guy. But honestly, because after Lovie Smith was fired, there was all this random accusations that once again, Texans are racist and that they don't want no black guy going there at all because they fired 2 black head coaches. So what? Again, how many teams have sat there and fired back-to-back head coaches? Many teams way before the Texans, and then back-to-back fired head coaches, where you have like 3 years in a row with 3 different head coaches. They've done it with white people, not the Texans personally, but other teams have done it. You know why we have back-to-back head coach fires when it comes to black people? Because of idiots like y'all accusing them of racism. That's why they literally hired Lovie Smith because he's black to quiet the racism accusation. That's part of why he was hired. They didn't publicly say it, but it's pretty darn obvious. The people they wanted ended up backing something. It just became a dumpster fire last minute with the people they wanted last year. This year, again, they wanted other people. Donna Brown became a fan favorite that people were pointing to. And then he got the position. And then now it's quieting down the racism accusation again. And as much as I like this guy, once again, I don't know if part of it might have been because he was black. We're in a position right now where we're forcing a team to basically consider the person that they want based on the color of the skin, which I see some problems with. I want the best guy for the job. Hopefully that's Donald Brown. He is a really good hire. And again, a lot of fans are backing this not because he's black, because he's a really darn good hire. He did a really good job with that 49ers defense. Hopefully he can do a really good job but over here in the Texans as the head coach. I'm pretty sure this is his first head coaching position, so we'll find out. He'll have some time, he'll have some leeway. Hopefully he'll have some leeway as long as this is the guy that they believe is their long-term solution. But if it's not Now we'll find out pretty soon at the end of the year, I guess. But and the Texans, I don't know what the issue is. I'd rather have the issue I'm having with people is the fact that people are sitting there and instead of wanting the best person for the job, you're wanting someone because of the color of the skin, which again, that is racism. Whether it's you're doing it for white people or you're doing it for black people, either way, it's racism. You, the accusation against the Texans doesn't make sense. It's based on stupidity, and what's really happening are all of you people, which at least the ones that are sitting here disagreeing with me are the ones reacting to all of this the way I'm describing. The ones I've seen online reacting like this. All of you people causing the Texans, at least especially the last year, not to look for the best person for the job. I want the best person for the job. I want the team to be led to a Super Bowl. I want the team to be led not just to a Super Bowl, but to multiple Super Bowls with multiple Super Bowl victories. I don't care who leads us there. I don't care the color of the skin of the person who leads us there. I don't know why that is one of the most important things people are talking about. Again, it should be the best person for the job. I don't give... Why is that controversial that a guy who did a poor job is fired? Oh, because you're not allowed to fire black people? Black people are just immune to being fired, period? That's the position we're in right now? Where if you're black, you can't be fired from your job? That's what it looks like y'all are advocating for? If you're black, you can't be fired from your job. I don't know about you, but I have a problem with that kind of advocation. It really does. You can't be fired from a job if you're black, and you gotta hire a black person because if you don't, you'll be racist. Either way, you're racist. You fire a black person, you're racist. You don't hire a black person, you're racist. So what? You're just hiring a bunch of black people, and then they can just do whatever they want as soon as they get the position, and leaving everyone else out of a job. Yeah, it's this history of the accusation against the Texans just don't make any sense. It's based on extreme stupidity because there's like a small kernel of truth. This goes back to one saying I like to say a lot. I don't know who originated the saying. I guess I'll look it up after this video. But the best lies have a kernel of truth in it. A kernel of truth and this lie that spread from multiple years ago is that this whole coaching hire thing is a bit racist because you got to interview a black person no matter what, even if you're not actually considering hiring that black person. Yeah, that is a bit racist, and there are issues with that system. You should, because you're going to bring, if you're considering aren't black, because of this rule, you're going to have to bring a black guy out and just interview him just for the looks because, well, you have to at least consider it. And it just spiraled out of control, and now we're in this mess where the Texans were accused of racism multiple times. And now if something happens, we keep him. Something happens years down the line, you fire this guy, and all of a sudden we're racist again because you're not allowed to fire black people. This whole thing is stupid. It's just really stupid. Donna Brown's a great hire. He's someone the fans can get behind, which is a very smart choice. He seems to be a great coach, which is a very smart choice. We'll see how he is as a head coach, if this is his head coaching job, as far as I know. But this train of just accusing this team of racism that's based on nothing is pretty darn stupid. When in reality, we should just be wanting the best person for the job. And I don't know if David Coley was the best person for the job. We only got 1 year. He seemed to show promise, but he obviously was not the person the team wanted. And Lovie Smith 100% was not the best person for the job. He clearly wasn't the person the team wanted. He was the last minute pull-up. Why? Because of the lawsuit that was going on and the fan reactions that were going on. And Donna Brown, his decision might be partially because of the fan backlash. And I hope Donna Brown works out. I hope in a couple seasons we're in the playoffs again, and I hope in a few seasons we're in the Super Bowl. We'll see where we go. And just whenever you are accusing something or someone of racism, at least have some basis to it instead of, you fired a black person. That's racist. It's just stupid.